If you're a basketball fan, then you're likely a fan of Shaquille O'Neal, or Shaq. He's made strides in basketball that rival that of any living basketball legend. Generations from now, his name will still be remembered among basketball and sports historians alike. But there's one thing about Shaq many of us may not know about. We're talking about Shaq's incredible generosity and how it's changed people's lives. Let's have a look at some of his most generous moments and how he's helped people during the hardest times of their lives. As a successful basketball player, Shaq has no doubt accumulated tremendous wealth. His childhood, however, wasn't the easiest. He came from humble beginnings and had a tumultuous life. His father, Joe Tony, was addicted to drugs and spent a lot of time in prison. Shaq was estranged from his father for much of his life, raised primarily by his stepfather. He found solace in playing basketball, developing a talent for the sport at a young age. He came from a tall family, reaching over 6 feet in his teens. Naturally, he gravitated towards basketball, and it was his main interest. He spent a lot of time practicing basketball at the Boys and Girls Club of America in Newark, New Jersey, where he grew up. He also spent some of his childhood on military bases in Germany and Texas, where he continued to hone his basketball skills. In San Antonio, he began playing basketball on his high school basketball team. He showed promise on the team, and it was around this time he knew he wanted to become a professional player. He found success playing college basketball at LSU and before long was drafted into the NBA. He began with the Orlando Magic and later found fame with the LA Lakers, among other teams. His success with basketball made him a star and a very wealthy man. Yet, despite his incredible success, Shaq never forgot where he came from. He remembered that life wasn't always easy and that others are going through struggles similar to what he faced. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And stick around for more about Shaq's incredible generosity. Recently, Shaq walked into a jewelry store and noticed an anxious young man. This young man was inquiring about an engagement ring he wanted to buy. He was stressed at the price and felt he couldn't pay it off in one go. He was trying to work out if there was a payment plan to pay off the ring on a gradual basis. Shaq noticed the shyness and anxiety in the young man and walked up to him. He asked him how much the engagement ring cost. After learning about the cost, Shaq did the unexpected. He took out his credit card and offered to pay off the entire amount for the engagement ring. The young man protested at first, feeling that he couldn't accept the basketball player paying for something that he wouldn't keep. Shaq smiled and told the young man not to worry about it, and he wanted to help out. He further stated he liked to help out others whenever he wanted. He once helped a family pay for their furniture by paying for a huge portion of it himself. Shaq once recalled on an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live that he had tipped a waitress $4,000 simply because she asked for that amount. He said that if he's happy with the service, he'll leave a generous tip. And usually he likes to ask the server how much they like to get tipped. On one day, an excellent waitress had requested $4,000 as a tip. Without hesitation, Shaq paid the absurdly high tip. But how did this tip change the waitress's life? Did she pull the $4,000 out of thin air? Nope. She needed $4,000 to pay 2 months' worth of rent. She thanked Shaq for his generosity, and he was glad he was able to help her. Though on Jimmy Kimmel, he joked that he wouldn't be able to eat out again now that everyone knew about his generosity with tips. On the court, Shaq has a fierce and intimidating presence. His opponents worried about him, and his teammates were always in awe of how he played. Off-court, he's shown he's an incredibly kind person who's sensitive to the suffering of others. One of his acts of generosity that made him win over hearts is when he paid for the funeral of a young boy who was killed in a car crash. Shaq heard about the crash in Louisiana, which took the life of an 11-year-old boy. Upon hearing the news, he reached out to his friend Phil Conrad, who was the former chief deputy of the Lafayette Parish Marshal's Office. Shaq asked Phil Conrad to reach out to the family to ask if they needed help paying for the funeral expenses. Shaq ended up paying for the cost of the funeral. The family was in financial struggles and had to set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for it. They raised $3,000 but didn't manage to raise the full costs. Shaq covered the remainder of the cost for them. One can't imagine the pain this family felt when having to deal with a boy's funeral. Shaq was able to lift some of their burden by helping pay for it. There was another incident where a young boy in Atlanta was shot and left paralyzed. The young boy would have to learn how to live with a wheelchair. He was initially refused release from the hospital because the family home was not well equipped for a wheelchair-bound child. Upon learning this, Shaq decided to intervene. He helped the family find a home that was wheelchair-friendly and would help the young boy adapt. He paid the rent for the home for 1 year and helped the family get settled into this new home. He also helped the family furnish their house by adding furniture and even the Ring doorbell system. There's another sweet story of Shaq buying shoes for a young boy. While this might not seem life-changing, it was. The young boy had size 18 feet, and as such, it was hard to find shoes that would fit him. When his parents did find shoes that would fit, they realized they were way out of their price range. Shaq knew all too well about this problem. He became over 6 feet tall in his teens and came from a tall family. He stands at 7 foot 1 inch, so one can imagine how hard it is for him to find clothes and shoes that fit him well. He reached out to the family and bought 10 pairs of shoes for the young boy. One of these was a special pair for an upcoming school dance. Shaq personally took young Zach Keith to a shoe store called Friedman Shoes in Atlanta. This was owned by Bruce Teilhaber, who years earlier gave Shaq a pair of size 18 penny loafers to wear to his high school prom. As Shaq recalled, "Bruce did it for me. I just wanted to return the favor." Shaquille O'Neal is clearly one of the most generous celebrities we have today. But what's shocking is many fans don't know about his generosity and his life outside of basketball. Outside of basketball, he also appeared in movies, was a frequent guest on talk shows, and even released a rap album. His popularity rivals that of other legendary basketball players like Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, and the late Kobe Bryant. After playing for the Magic and the Lakers, he played for the Miami Heat for 4 years and then played for the Phoenix Suns. He then had 1 year with the Cleveland Cavaliers and ended his career with 1 year playing for the Boston Celtics. On June 1st, 2011, Shaq announced his retirement via Twitter. He now spends much of his time as a sports newscaster. He also makes regular public appearances where he discusses his career and basketball today. But perhaps now that he's retired from basketball, we'll learn even more about his generosity. We also suspect he'll spend even more time changing people's lives with his generosity. We also hope that we'll see even more media coverage about it. If there's one takeaway from this video, it's we wish there was more media coverage not just for Shaq's generosity, but for celebrity generosity in general. Now it's time to hear from you. Are you a fan of Shaq? And even if you weren't, we expect you are after watching this video. Do you think we need to learn more about his great achievements outside of basketball? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.